So today we're talking about data-driven content, and this is something that I'm sure we all use it, whether or not we realize it. But this is just a really great way to look at um, formalizing the way we think about data and use our data when we're creating, whether it be social media or emails or however it is that we're getting our message out there. So we're going to talk about both of those things today. So yeah, here we go. Our purpose is to understand and use data to create better content. One thing I love to say is if it's not working, stop doing it. So I think sometimes we get in these like habits of doing certain kinds of content. Maybe it's like a comfortable or familiar like lane for us. And when we look at the data, we might see that that may not be the best thing, right? And so that can help inform the choices we make as we work on our content. Hi, Lori. Thanks for joining us. All right. So first, I just have a quick poll, and you can put in the chat. Which platform do you check data from most often? So there's Meta, which is a combo of Facebook and Instagram. Maybe you just do one or the other. There's also LinkedIn, email, none, or if there's something else, you can put whatever else that might be in the chat. And Meta, I imagine, is probably the number one thing we check. Yes, that's definitely the easiest and like the most accessible. So here's something we can share out. And again, if you want to just put it in the chat, that's fine since it's a small group today. Was one content challenge that you'd like to solve using data? So one of the main metrics that you see when you go into, if you're looking at Meta, for instance, you'll see reach. So that is capturing how many people are seeing your content. So this is capturing January 1st through January 31st, right? So reach is going to be this one here. And I kept this in so you can see how to navigate to it. So if you're on Meta Business Suite, you would click Insights, and then you go to Overview here. And then from there, you can go up here and select the date range you want to look at. So I try to do a month-over-month content report and each month look back and see what content performed the best that month. And we're going to talk a little bit about frequency and timing of how often you should be checking your metrics and your data. But we see here that our reach for January was over 7,000. And then this little green arrow here shows you how much is grown or decreased, and it's comparing it to usually the same window of time from the month previous. So this would be compared to January. And then here is more, these metrics are also looking at reach, this graph here. You see that line, this graph. And this would be organic reach here because we did not do any paid ads. So, and again, here you can see if you did do paid ads, it'll show you a breakdown of organic versus paid ads and then have the total here as well. And again, you can see those dates here that I've selected. Okay, and then this is for Instagram, looking at the same exact thing, but I go up here and I selected this first one we saw was Facebook, and you can go on the drop-down list and select for Instagram. So you can see on Instagram, our reach is less. We have fewer followers on Instagram, so there'll be a smaller reach associated with that. And we can see again that the reach grew by 89.1%. I guess December was a slow month on both of our platforms. And then again, you can see here, which we didn't run ads, so I don't know how that happened, but we had mostly organic reach here. And the navigation is the same. At this point, all that I changed was this drop-down list up here. So this is LinkedIn, which I also captured. And so LinkedIn calls it impressions. And there's a little bit of nuance in the terminology between different platforms. So what I like to do when I track is I might have like a category title like reach, but then I'll make a note to myself that like what I'm looking at for each platform if the word is different. So there's impressions here on LinkedIn. And if I clicked this drop-down list, which this is a screenshot, so I can't do that. But if I click this drop-down list, I could click on different things and this graph would change and show me different metrics. But this is something I like to look at as well. We can see that our reach was down a little bit for January over December on LinkedIn, which is the opposite of what we saw on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so now like what does all of these things mean, right? So kind of trying to take it to the next metric we're going to be looking at would be engagement. So engagement usually captures likes, comments, shares, clicks, things like that. So this now is the same place on Facebook that I was at before, but the first time I clicked on reach, and this time I clicked on what's called content interactions. So here we can see, and again, we can look down here. This is showing us what these different colors mean. So the dark blue is just total content interactions, and then the medium blue is from followers, and the light blue is from non-followers. So you can see this light blue one here at the bottom. So our total content interactions in January was 808, and that was up by 23%. And we had a big jump in our non-follower engagement, which oftentimes comes from when posts are reshared on other people's platforms. So that's how we're reaching non-followers, because let's say Volunteer Debbie shares a post. All of Volunteer Debbie's friends, even if they don't follow us, are going to be seeing that post and engaging with it on her profile. And so that's how that interaction is captured. Now, what I can do is I can click on a specific post and see more detail. And you can see a little bit of an overview here when you look down here at these like kind of previews of each post. You can see the 64, you see 107 hearts, you see the comments is 4, and the reshares was 10. So now here we clicked on a specific one, and we can see the specific metrics for this one post. So we see how like over time, what that growth looks like. And this gray one is typical, like what's typical. So we see that this particular post, and Lori is here with us today. Lori, you were very popular when we did your post here. So you can see that this one grew faster than what is typical as far as the engagement, the commenting, the interaction on this post. So it received some shares, interactions and reactions, and comments here. So when the numbers don't match, so if we go back here one and we see what's here, we see 229 likes, but then we go here and it looks like it was only 91. So why are those numbers different? So again, that goes back to that resharing, right? So when someone's resharing it, it's getting engagement on someone else's profile, and that's not really captured on this screen, but it is captured here. It's more of a big picture that we're seeing here. And this one's more granular to like that particular post on your page. Okay, and then this was Instagram. So again, this is the same as this one here. So we're looking at content interactions, and I changed the drop down from Facebook to Instagram. So we can see here the ebbs and flows on this graph, like the ups and downs here, are really strongly tied to when you're posting. So for instance, I made this post here on January 2nd, and we can see a big jump here on January 2nd. This post with Jen was on the 13th, and we see this big jump here on the 13th, right? So those peaks are happening when posting is happening. And then you can, again, that same little overview of what engagement is going on here, likes, comments, reshares, things like that. And so the cool thing about Instagram, when you do that, when you click on this specific post to look at it, it gives you even more based on your audience, which we didn't see on the Facebook one. So it's showing us that the 91% was from followers of engagement on this particular post, 9% from non-followers. We're also seeing compared views compared to that typical, which is that gray line. So again, we're seeing these ones are doing above average, which is really great. And then this kind of snapshot of likes, comments, shares, that we can see a little preview here of some of those. And then here is LinkedIn, which is a little bit different. So this is showing us more of the engagement clicks. So it's capturing people who are actually clicking on your post to read the entire comment. LinkedIn usually just shows the first 2 or 3 sentences or the first portion of what your caption is with the photo. And so people have to click read more or see more to see the whole caption. So this is capturing that. So instead of necessarily, so reactions would be like the likes, laughs, hearts, that kind of stuff would be captured here in the reactions. So we had 20 reactions, but 46 people clicked to read the entire caption on the post, which is really, really great way to capture, I think, that engagement piece. Okay, so the next metric we're going to look at is follower growth. So that's new versus lost followers. So here we can see on Facebook, our following grew by 27 people. Now we did have a decrease. We had 22 unfollows. So that actually took us down a net total of 5 followers. I don't see unfollows as a bad thing. I feel like unfollows, whether it be unfollows on social media or unsubscribes on email, I think of that as like when you have like a trail mix and you pick out the raisins because you don't want them, right? It's like people self-selecting to say like, I'm not that interested in this content. And what we really want to do is cultivate community. So it's helpful for us to have people who are engaged on our pages and following us that are going to engage and are interested. And so I see this as somebody saying, you know what, this isn't for me. And I think that's okay, because what we want to do is build that connectivity and that community with people who want to hear what we have to say and are interested in our work. So that's what that number is there. And this again shows you like the ups and downs of when people are following. And those things usually tie pretty well with the content. As far as getting new followers, usually go hand in hand with when something is getting a lot of shares and reaching new audiences through that is when we'll see new followers join us. And then the same here for Instagram, we had 33 follows. It looks like we had no unfollows. So we went up 10% there. And then on LinkedIn, again, it's a little bit different the way it looks here. But we did have 49 new followers in this time period, and that was up by 22.5%. And this shows you which were sponsored versus organic, and we have all organic. We don't do anything sponsored on LinkedIn. Sorry, email metrics. So there's 4 things here. So we have the open rate, and that's going to be the percentage of recipients who open your email. We have click-through rate, which will be percentage of recipients who click on a link. Conversion rate, which will be those actions taken after clicking, so donations, signups for events, things like that. And then unsubscribes, which we just talked about, like who is opting out and why. So this is, I went through all of those so we can look at them here on this one page. So we have the open rate here is 61.3%, and this was a letter we sent out in December. So we see that it went to 8,432 people and only 5,115 opened. So that would be a 61.3% open rate. So open rate is actually a very interesting thing to look at. Typically in our industry, it's anywhere from 20 to 30% is average. So we're actually doing way above average as far as that open rate. Now that click rate would be that link. So I will say in this particular email, we just have a link in Jen's email signature that says our website. So there's no call to action. There was no like calling people to like register for this or go to this site or whatever. So that's not even a bad click-through rate because there was no call to action associated with it. It was just in her signature. So we had 59 people click on our website through her signature that received this email. And when we do calls to actions, we usually see more like 1 to 3% of a click-through rate. And then we see 18 people unsubscribed. And again, that goes back to that's okay, because we don't want to be sending these to people that don't want them. We want people who are interested to be a part of that community. And I think I saw Stephanie say quality over quantity. And I 100% echo that. I think that having that person who is going to engage and be interested is a quality number to have reflected in what we're doing.